What do you get if you cross a little girl with a health visitor, or a small boy with a book of jokes? Hands out, thumbs up, and best foot forward. Young Benedict has discovered jokes. Dreadful puns and wince-making riddles, knock-knocks and I says. Mum, what do you get if you cross a millipede with a green parrot? I don't know, Benedict. Tell me, what do you get if you cross a millipede with a green parrot? A walkie-talkie. We get told the same groaner again and again. It's like living with a repeating box of crackers. Our own little walkie-talkie, Miranda, is walking and talking to a band playing. By some genetic throwback, certainly not from my side of the family, she loves walking. Each outing takes hours, but we cover very little ground. No foot-weary adult could imagine the treasures lying on the ground in just the distance between one lamppost and the next. A manhole cover that wobbles about, a crisp packet that might have something in it if only you were allowed to examine it, a scrunch of bus tickets, 2 scurrying woodlice, a puddle with an oil slick spread out in colours. It must be where the rainbow ends, Ben says. Either you can whiz by dragging a reluctant toddler and miss it all, or you can accept that you won't be able to cash your family allowance because the post office will have shut by the time you get there. And if you give in and look down, you can share the pleasure, study the designs on the manhole covers, and try to decipher those mystic runes that the telephone menders scribble on the pavement for each other. Admire a mother woodlouse leading her brood of little full stops to a much more desirable crack in the pavement. And you can discover that, whatever height you are, the length of your downstretched arm and your child's upstretched one are exactly right for holding hands and walking together. Best outing of all is the park. Ben takes us there to play football. Ever since Simon took him to his first football match, a 3-3 draw at Brentford, he has put us all into training. A dog joins our soccer match and reminds Benedict, Mummy, why do dogs have furry coats? I don't know, Ben. Why do they? Because they look silly in anoraks. Most other people in the park have got into cricket by now, but Miranda and I are still dribbling and cross-passing and practising our corner kicks and polishing up our footwork. It's not so much feet as hands are on my mind this month. Hands up, all those who haven't been down the well baby clinic in months. I have to own up, we haven't. Miranda always seems to catch something nasty from one of those other well babies. But if you don't go to the mountain, Mohammed, well, the health visitor, comes to you. Ours came to give Miranda her 18-month development test. I don't know what happens if your child doesn't pass. Perhaps she has to go back to being 17 months. Our health visitor Liz came armed with the Denver Development Test, an American import, I understand. It works like this. The health visitor asks you a question about your child's ability, and you answer proudly, and then your child proves you a liar. Can she kick a ball? Oh yes, but she's much better in goal. Miranda stands stock still, observing the ball at her feet as though it had just landed from outer space. Can she draw with a pencil? Oh yes. I say nothing about the mural in the loo. She's a great little scribbler. Miranda stares at the proffered pencil and prods it as though it were an earthworm with rigor mortis. Can she get this raisin out of this narrow-necked bottle? Apparently an 18-month-old American will tip up the bottle and shake out the raisin. Miranda pokes one plump finger down the neck of the bottle and gets it stuck. This must be fairly standard fare for a British 18-month-old, because the health visitor seems quite adept in getting the finger out again. Can she stack a 3-brick tower? Oh yes, yesterday she piled up 6. Today she grabs one with a Neanderthal grunt and tries to eat it. As the health visitor makes notes, Miranda drops a brick and kicks it smartly between the legs of the coffee table with a creditable chip shot. Can she dress herself? Well, she puts things over her head, usually a pot or a paper bag, and she takes things off, usually her shoes and socks, in the supermarket. Can she say recognizable words? Miranda fetches the health visitor's handbag and hands it to her, saying with unmistakable clarity, "Goodbye." As the health visitor claims the ball that's rolled under the sofa and retrieves the kicked brick and repacks her raisin, we find that someone has scribbled on the Denver Development score sheet, and it wasn't me. Anyhow, our experienced and understanding health visitor sees beyond the desk and doesn't take Miranda into care. Benedict comes home with a new joke. "What do you call 2 burglars?" "I don't know. What do you?" "A pair of knickers. Get it, Mum?" It is unusually quiet after tea. Both children are silently occupied at the kitchen table. Ben is doing sums with fierce concentration. He sticks out the fingers he needs to count and holds down the ones not required for this calculation. Not so much mental as manual arithmetic. Miranda has been trying to stack potatoes into a 3-tower house. And then she draws sticky circles with a spilt blob of yogurt. Ben calls me over to lend a few fingers for the double figure work. And I notice all the hands on the table. Hands writing, hands counting, hands making and learning, hands busy. Hands down anyone who needs a Denver development test.